Hey everyone, on today's episode of Blowout and Damper 3, we're talking about underrated Gen X movies. And you may be wondering, what's our criteria? How do we determine what an underrated movie is? I want to assure you that we use a fine mix of data and analysis to make sure that our process is as rigorous as possible. Just ask this scientician. More of that on the other side of the intro. Hey everybody, welcome to Blowout and Damper 3. I'm Eric.
I am the amazing Jeff.
Hey Jeff, long time no see. Glad you could make it
It
back.
has been a while. Yeah. The rumors of my demise were pretty much spot on. I was death's door, man. It was terrible.
Well, I enjoy Christmas myself, so I don't know what you're talking about, but hey, glad you're back. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about underrated Gen X movies, and this is going to be a fun one because this gives us a chance to talk about some of those movies that they maybe have cult followings. Or before we get in, Jeff, I thought I'd ambush you. I thought that since we're talking about movies that either underperformed or maybe aren't as popular as some other movies, or at least maybe not as popular at the time, I'm going to throw some trivia at you, and let's see how well you do. You up for it?
Oh no. Yeah, I mean, fire away.
All right. Okay, so here's the first one.
I don't know that one.
What early 1980s science fiction movie was legendary movie critic Roger Ebert referring to when he said this? The obligatory love affair is pro forma, the villains are standard issue, and the climax is yet one more of these cliffhangers with the hero dangling over an abyss by his fingertips.
Star Wars.
Oh no, early 80s. Come on now, think, man.
Oh, early 80s. I'm sorry. Is that indie?
Nope. That's not really a sci-fi. But you're warm. Let me put that out there.
Yeah, no, I got nothing.
Blade Runner, 1982.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Blade Runner. He actually he gave it 3 stars, but he felt that but some of the character development was not particularly strong. But when he says that the villains were standard issue, I gotta say that's bull. That is absolute bull. Rutger Hauer was anything but standard issue villain.
And I know, speaking of trivia, I know that probably everybody knows this by now, but the whole I've seen things you people wouldn't believe
Right.
monologue he does at the end. Rutger Hauer did that.
All those moments will be lost in time. Like tears in rain.
Yep.
I've seen, yeah.
And that practically made the whole movie wrapped.
That was ad lib.
Yep.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. So, got a lot of respect for Roger, but nah, he missed that one. Okay. Yep. All right. Let's see. Strike one. Let's see if you can get to number 2 here. 2 of the greatest comedies in American cinema were released in 1974. Can you name them?
No, and heck no.
All right. I want to give you a hint. They were both directed by the same person.
Yes, that's still nothing.
Oh, I am so disappointed.
Dude, my functionality with these movies is, oh man, it's like that Chris Farley thing. You remember that scene in the movie where you jumped off the cliff? Yeah, that was cool.
Well, they were Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein.
Wow.
So, Gen X, if you haven't put this together, Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein are turning 50 this year. So
that's incredible.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, strike 2. Okay, so here's the third one, and you may know this one. This may have even come up in conversation once upon a time. What was Mark Hamill's first speaking movie role?
Oddly enough, I saw And I think the answer to this, like a few days ago on Instagram, and it was when he was a kid or a teenager or something like that. But no, I have no recollection.
Yeah, you're going to kick yourself for this one. Not because necessarily you would have known this, but if you didn't know this, this is going to be kind of interesting. His first speaking movie role. Now he did a couple television cartoons, but his first
Right.
speaking movie role was as Sean, a fairy in the movie Wizards, released in
Wizard.
1977.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're going to get the clip on here because you can definitely tell it's Mark.
Please accept our apologies for the behavior of some of our more carefree brothers. I'm Sean, leader of the Knights of Stardust, protectors of Dolan, king of the mountain fairies. We have prepared a feast to welcome you to our humble domain.
When you
Right.
hear him talking. All right, wow, strike three. You really are just not too much into this for the trivia, are you?
No.
All right, cool. Well, maybe next time you can ambush me. So,
All right.
all right, so let's jump into it. We're talking about underrated movies from the Gen X period. I've got a couple. I know Jeff's got a couple, and we're going to talk through these, and we'll figure out which one maybe deserves to be the number one underrated movie. Is that such a thing? I don't know.
All right. So I'm going to throw out my my honorable mention here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got one as
all
well.
right. Yeah. So my honorable mention it took place in space. It was sci-fi. This I forget. I think it was some kind of cargo transport going through space, and found a capsule out in space, brought it on board, and it was a naked vampire. It was Life Force was the movie. I found that one on the list of underrated movies, and so I couldn't leave that one alone, obviously.
You know, you brought up Life Force during the Halloween movie.
Yes, I
episode.
did.
So
Yeah, it was
I
the
guess we're going to
vampires,
see
yeah.
this one come back. So we're going to have a tally of Life Force showing up into Blowout podcast episodes. Okay, but that's fair enough. Okay, cool. My honorable mention, and the reason why mine's an honorable mention was because it didn't seem to do as well as people thought at the box office, but it wound up doing not so bad. But it was a Steven Spielberg film, and I can't remember when it was produced or when it came out. I think it was late 70s, 79, something like that. 1941. 1941 was a comedy about the attempted invasion of California during World War II. It starred Jim Belushi, Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
It was looking at the movie reviews. I actually went through and found a bunch of movie reviews from the time, and they hated it. Too long, too noisy, so much going on. This is not funny, but there are some scenes in there that to this day are burned into my head. And if any of you are familiar with it, well, you know what? We're going to find the clip. Dan Aykroyd with pantyhose on his head, screaming, "I'm a bug." Oh man, that's like one of my favorite childhood movie memories. So, but it's not technically an underrated movie, since again it did well at the box office, and I think it still has a good following. Okay, all right, let's jump into it. Jeff, you want to kick us off? What's your
my number three?
number three.
Yeah, number three was the 1984 movie Dune.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it was underrated, and the reality is, when I was doing my research and I saw that movie and I thought, oh yeah, no, that was an amazing, and then I got to looking into it a little bit better and remembering the movie better, and no, it wasn't underrated. It wasn't. It was terrible. They totally went off the Dune lore. They created voice weapons. And at the end, Paul Muad'Dib caused it to rain on Dune by using his voice, and no, it was awful. It was awful, and it wasn't underrated. I was entirely wrong. So yeah, no, but it was material that I'd done research on, so I felt obligated to include it.
Well, it was bad, and you should feel bad. Yeah,
Exactly. Yes.
I it's funny too because I had fond memories of it again, just like you, until I looked back on it. I thought
Yeah.
Sting did a pretty good job, didn't he?
Yeah. Okay.
And,
Now Sting did.
So
Yeah.
okay, so we've got a crash right outside the hangar here of our first
Yeah.
underrated movie because it's apparently
It wasn't
deserves to be
underrated. It was spot on. Congratulations, Doc, on a successful diagnosis. It was amazing.
So my first or my number three underrated movie is Twice Upon a Time. Twice Upon a Time, a movie produced by George Lucas, same year, 1983, as Return of the Jedi came out, but it did not do well at all, in part because they had problems with the production company went up. They were also producing The Right Stuff, and they were facing a lot of budget problems, and they had to put all their money in one basket, and they put it into The Right Stuff, and they kind of chucked a special release status over to Twice Upon a Time. It didn't get seen a whole lot. It was unusual, different type of animation and all sorts of things. But it's hilarious. It's definitely I think it's kind of ahead of its time. Some of the humor, the characters, Ralph the all-purpose animal, and Mumford is his friend. Leaving the land of dreams to having to go into the land of nightmares. To get this coil back for this clock that keeps time running in the land of the Rushers, which is us. We're the Rushers. I mean, I'm not going to go into all the details about it, but the characters are hilarious, and it wound up getting shown on HBO. But the problem was, see, there were two directors, and one director did not want any swearing in it, and the other director thought it'd be funny to have swearing in it. And so they filmed a couple scenes without telling the first director that they were doing it, and they snuck it in. And so during the premiere night, they showed it, and he was furious, the first director, and he went and he told HBO that if you show this, we're suing. And so it caused it to be locked up. And so anyway, a big drama, and over years it wasn't available because of legal issues. But I did see it on HBO quite a bit, and I remember seeing the swearing version and the non-swearing version. I was confused as to why that was. But anyway, Twice Upon a Time, if you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth your while. Okay.
All right.
Number two,
the 1986 Labyrinth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was on the list. I didn't catch why. I think it was just the box office was why it was underrated, because I think it had a tomato meter with critics of like 76 and audience of like 86, something like that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, a C and a B, that's not bad. But I mean, just Jim Henson, this is before CGI. So Jim Henson, the practical effects were just incredible in that movie. And David Bowie, I mean, his acting, the music, that's David Bowie. I mean, let's just face it. We got things from this movie like The Bog of Eternal Stench, which has been referenced many times in association with my kids' rooms. And Jennifer Connelly's in it, which at the time this movie came out, I would have literally just sat down and watched a 2-hour movie of her just like, playing Monopoly and making the supper for kids as a
Right.
babysitter. That would have been fine with me. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
Labyrinth.
think that's another one of those. That's one of those movies that, like, over time, they grew a cult following, and now is looked back on. And what you notice with some of these movies, Twice Upon a Time is one of these as well. That if you look at like Rotten Tomatoes, you see like there's a lot of recent reviews by viewers or whatever, and they're all retroactively, oh, this is great, but at the time, maybe not so much.
Right.
All right, cool. All right, my number 2 movie is Outland. 1982, I think. 1982, 1983. Outland, a science fiction movie starring Sean Connery. It's set in a mining facility on one of the planets around Jupiter, I believe, Io.
That's not the one where he's in that. He's wearing the I don't know, the barbarian.
No, oh God, no,
okay,
no,
good.
no, no,
All right,
no.
all right. I was gonna say
This movie,
we can't be friends.
This movie is I don't know if you ever saw the classic High Noon movie High Noon. I'm blanking on his name. I can see his face.
Clint
Huh?
Eastwood?
No, it
Eastwood?
wasn't Clint. It was it predated Clint actually, but
Oh,
I'll think of it here in a second. But anyway, it's called like High Noon in Space, about a sheriff who's doing the right thing in the midst of everybody else being corrupt, kind of thing. And
Right.
he's on a space station out on this mining colony that people are getting access to these drugs that are just killing them. And
Yes, take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning. That's a doctor joke. Are you the new marshal?
Yes, I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes.
I got an alibi. I got 4 people who swear they were playing poker with me.
I've never heard that one before. That's really funny.
Sorry.
Yesterday, a man deliberately went into the atmosphere without his pressure suit.
Yes,
A couple of days before that, another man cut his suit open on purpose.
it happens here.
How often?
I don't know. It just happens here.
Why?
I'm not a psychiatrist. I can't tell you why.
he's trying to stop it. And it's gritty. It's really, really well done, and it just didn't perform very well. But again, the early '80s, it just packed with great movies, and I think it was
Right.
hard to rise to the top of that. So if you haven't seen Outland, I'll highly recommend. All right,
But
your number 1, what you got?
all right, my number 1, 1984, The Last Dragon.
The Last Dragon. I was just looking at that
Yeah.
one.
Yes, that was an excellent movie. I went to see it with Billy. We went to the theaters to see that, and the Last Dragon had a protagonist whose name was Bruce Leroy, and the main antagonist, the main bad guy, was Show Nuff. Now,
I know.
yeah, yeah, Show Nuff. Who's the baddest? Show Nuff.
Did you say that? Show enough is the master. Show enough. No.
Can I pick him or what?
Shut up. Am I the meanest? Show enough. Am I the prettiest? Show enough. Am I the baddest mofo low down around this town? Show enough. I can't hear you. Show enough.
I remember Show Enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Now the movie, probably part of what was doing it in at the time, at least, was it was borderline blaxploitation. The whole carrying over stereotypes and that kind of thing, with Show Enough being a full on pimp and everything else. I mean, it was just
Right.
but it brought the blaxploitation from the 70s. It also brought the other major theme at that time, which was the kung fu and the martial arts, and so it was bringing all these retro things in. But I mean, it was just it was excellent. It had a fellow, and I'm probably going to massacre his name. It had a fellow that played Bruce Leroy, His name was Tamaik, I believe, Tamaik, and that's the only name I found for him. I haven't found a last name. So, but he got the role. Wesley Snipes was actually trying to get that role.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, but the whole premise of the movie was if you practiced hard enough and you got good enough, your hands could actually glow with a glow because you were doing so well at your martial arts. And I think Shonuff ended up picking on Vanity, who was the love interest of Bruce, and Bruce got so good that his entire body glowed. So yeah,
The Glow. I
just
remember.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right,
Yeah.
no, that's a good number one. I think mine might beat it though. Number one for me, 1981's Time Bandits. Time Bandits did not do so hot at the in the box office. I forget what place it came in, but co-written between Terry Gilliam and Michael Palin. Terry Gilliam helped produce it and directed it. It was it's interesting. You look it up on IMDb, and I don't know if you remember, but the little kid's name in this movie, for those who haven't seen it, Time Bandits is about a child who stumbles upon these. They're all little people, dwarfs who work for the supreme being who created the world or created the universe. And the universe has got these flaws in it because they're still making it basically, and these flaws allow you to jump through time. And the Time Bandits, who are these dwarfs, they're servants of the supreme being. They steal this map that shows them where all the points are, and they use it to jump through time and commit crimes so they can become super wealthy. Well, they jump into this one child named Kevin, his room. You look him up on IMDb and it's like nothing. They no picture, nothing. I guess he never did anything after that, but he was a good actor. But this movie also has appearances by Sean Connery, by John Cleese, Shelley Duvall. One of the dwarfs is Kenny Baker, Star Wars, R2-D2, and one of the villains, the villain is a guy. It's funny because if you look him up, if you look up in IMDb, I think they got it wrong, actually, his name. If it's IMDb, there's a couple sources I was looking at. But if you look him up, they refer to him as Evil Genius, but he's not Evil Genius. He's evil. He's supposed to be the supreme evil. They don't call him the devil. They call him evil. So I don't think he's Evil Genius. But that's played by David Warner, who just passed away not too long ago. Actually, David Warner was the guy who reminded me of Snape. He played
Alan Rickman.
Yeah, Alan Rickman. He played the Jack the Ripper in Time After Time. He played the photographer in The Omen. He's just all over the place, and he's was such a wonderful actor. But anyway, that movie is just a lot of fun, and I think definitely an underrated movie. So again, if you haven't seen Time Bandits or any of the movies that we just going to talk about, you need to do yourself a favor and check them out.
You're saying that about Terry Gilliam and who else?
Michael Palin.
Yes, I've been over here trying to type in them and pay attention to you. It seems like it was Michael Palin was a part of the writing cast for The Last Dragon, but I could be wrong on that. I know that I know that Michael Palin was involved in some of the stuff that I was researching earlier. So, but I don't remember now.
All right.
But yeah. Time Bandits, excellent movie. Very quotable. Very quotable.
Good morning. You're all robbers.
The best, Mr. Hood.
Jolly good. And you're a robber, are you? Jolly good. And do you enjoy robbing then?
Well, it helps pay the rent, sir.
Jolly good. And you're a robber too, are you? How long have you been a robber?
4'1".
Good Lord. Jolly good. 4'1".
Yes.
Well, that is a long time, isn't it? Well, now, I hear you've made a pretty good haul.
Well, see for yourself, sir.
I say.
Well, oh, yeah. Is that absolutely necessary?
The Robin Hood scene with John Cleese is just classic. Yeah, that'll be in this.
Yeah. Yeah, cut that in.
Well, guys, there's so many more. I mean, there's tons of ones. One of the ones that I wanted to put in here that I just felt like I had to cut for time was My Favorite Year with Peter O'Toole. There's a ton of other ones out there. What are you guys out there? What are some movies from the 70s and 80s that you think that have been overlooked and need to be and people should give a closer look at? So let us know. Put them in the comments. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, share us. We'd like to keep doing this and appreciate all the feedback that we've gotten from some of you guys. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and have a great day.
And a Happy New Year. We'll talk to you guys.
Happy New Year.